That's why I think your story is great because I feel like a lot of creatives right now, not everybody is what's we call it Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino. They don't have the millions of dollars to just go out there every day and put out a film and dedicate their life to creativity. A lot of us we do have full time jobs, and that's one thing that I love about your story. You're a guy that even though you have responsibilities, you still take time out to do the things that you love and that you're passionate about. And I actually want to bring that up with our first question. Um, how was it? How was that work ethic over the course of these 2 years? Was it a dedicated time that you told yourself, "I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna do this," or was it more like whenever I can uh, grab this, whenever I just see something that just aligns with my vision, this is what I'm gonna take. This is what I'm gonna put into my film. Was it more sporadic in the moment, or was this just like very meticulous? I know what I'm gonna do today. I know what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
It was a combination of both, actually, bro. This was I like to think of this project much like my last one, Goldie, as kind of like a scavenger hunt where I kind of went out and I was like fishing for shots. Though Midnight Diaries was much more deliberately planned, there were a lot of times where I kind of went out and just kind of captured things that I felt were true to the narrative. Taxi Driver was my main source of inspiration behind this film, and I wanted to really just kind of capture the truth in all of that, and those images birthed out of that initial idea.
Now I know we talked to you're saying Goldie being like a scavenger hunt. Now you had a couple of those elements inside of this new one, Midnight Diaries. And then you said that you had shots in your mind. Usually, a cinematographer will have like a shot list to where he knows what to do it. How does your vision work? Is it just something like you're out in the day and you have this aha moment, or is it something you just go to sleep at night and you're just picturing it all day and then you just go out there and search for it?
I needed something to basically guide me like a map, and when I found this song on Epidemic Sound, this song called Foggy Sunday by Bladverk Band. When I found that song, I immediately knew how I wanted to capture this film. And I think subconsciously I was conceiving shots without even realizing it. And so I would go out and I would basically shoot to the rhythm of the music. So things, particular sections within the music that I felt were appropriate, shot composition and all, I captured that stuff because it was very true to, the kind of film that I really wanted to make. And I've been wanting to make this film for like several years.
I'm glad you touched on that about how like the song became your main source of inspiration because one of the things that I really loved about your film is it doesn't go like the typical narrative route that you usually see in like short stories or even just feature length films. Usually you have a sequence of events. You have like your plot. In yours, one thing that I loved about it is it does have a plot, but the focus isn't on the story. The focus is on the emotion. What made you lean more into that approach? I know you said it was the song, but was it intentional? Were you really just trying, or was it like what? Was it intentional, or did it just kind of like happen just in the moment as you was just filming?
Um, it was, it just kind of happened because the song ended up directing me. The song ended up, dictating how the film would play out. Because I initially, Midnight Diaries, the original title of this film was Night Walks on Wilshire Boulevard. Wilshire Boulevard is this famous street in Koreatown in Los Angeles. Many historic sites, just a lot of, beautiful things of historic Los Angeles lives on that street. Western also. And I spent a lot of time on these two streets. So when I conceived the idea, I had more of kind of like I had this sort of this kind of dreamscape kind of vision for the film where I would have like these slow burn cuts kind of fading in to the next shots. The voiceover was still true in the film. The imagery was still true, but the kind of the rhythm of it was very much more melodramatic as opposed to what it is now. It was really, I wanted to kind of tell sort of like a bedtime story approach to this thing, if that makes any sense. It was going to be a lot more slower, a lot more poetic in terms of like the atmosphere of it. But what it ended up being was more, just much more stylistic because the song that I found was just much more appropriate for a commercial approach.
Actually, yeah, I don't know. I actually felt the film to be very poetic. Like I was saying, the film to me was just an emotion. So just the shot composition and just again not following that traditional role, it made it very artsy, very poetic to me. You know what I'm saying?
Thank
To
you.
me, the film embodied what loneliness is and longing for belongingness. And
Hmm.
that's one thing that I really enjoyed about it, man. Um, I know that you've written, you produced, you were the director and editor on this film. My question for you is, which one do you feel like your strengths mainly leans towards? For me, just looking at the film, I feel like you're just a freaking awesome cinematographer. But then again, just looking at the direction of the movie, you're like he's a cinematographer and he's a director. But I don't know, you might have say something different about yourself. What do you say?
I know cinematography just from I know what I want, you know. In every aspect of film, I know exactly what I want, but I don't have all of the technical knowledge to communicate those things. But I think I do.
I mean,
Uh,
you could have fooled me, man. I was looking at that movie and I was just like, wow. And then was it is it your photography background? You have a background in photography, right, Keno? Because I
uh,
think that's what it is. I
I've
think,
taken
yeah,
pictures. I wouldn't call myself a photographer, but
yeah.
I have
I
taken.
don't know. Like when I was watching it, I just knew that this guy's experience, especially when we were like inside of like the gallery, and I was looking at some of like the photos you taking.
Oh yeah,
Just gorgeous,
thank you.
especially one of my favorite ones I just remember off top by like the laundromat man.
Oh
I
yeah,
really wanted that one, man. I really wanted that
thank
laundromat
you.
picture. Yeah, but to say that someone like you just came out of there, you're not experienced when it comes to cinematography, but you're just able to just go out and just be like, man, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. I think that's just great. And what are some like your favorite moments during the filming process,
Man, I have so many favorite moments that I made this film.
or we'll even make it, we'll even change it. Let's tweak it a little bit.
Mhm.
Most difficult moment you had.
The most difficult shot, there's this shot where it's soon, like right after the music cues into the film. One of the first shots when the music cues into the film, you'll probably know this one. But it's on the line. I am a night owl in my city, and it's a shot of me looking over the view of the nighttime Los Angeles skyscraper, pretty much. And that shot right there was the hardest to get because it looks like I'm on top of a roof, but what it really is I'm on, I think, the fifth level of a parking lot, and I've stacked these boxes together that I found in this construction site on the corner, and I brought them over, and then I put my camera on top of like this brick wall pillar, and then I had my zoom lens on. I had my telephoto lens on, and I zoomed it all the way in to give the impression, to fake it, to make it
Mm.
look like I was actually on the rooftop. And basically, the city is in the backdrop. I'm in the foreground, and that light that you see, that's the flashlight on my phone. That you can't see it in the shot, but my arm is stretching out and making it giving a fake illusion that that light is coming from the city, but it's actually my phone. Yeah, it's my
That's
flashlight.
genius right there, man. How long did it take you to get that set up right, man?
Oh man, dude, I went back like 3 times to get that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 times to
Did
get
you
that
start
shot.
right there, or did you have like a different location? And you was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. Now I'm gonna go over here.
Luckily, I found that shot the very first time. There
Okay.
are other shots where I've tried different locations and didn't work, and then I had to find other locations. But this one was the first location that I found, and I thought it was perfect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was there any moments to where you felt like stressful, or was just the fact that you were making it that was good enough for you? It was no point inside where you're like, man, I don't know if this is gonna work. No doubt, or
Well, once I found the song, I knew it was gonna work.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the song gave me all the
Yeah.
confidence that I needed because the song, the song really was my blueprint.
Okay.
So then it just became a matter of finding the appropriate shots to match the music.
Yeah.
But the most stressful part of actually, the easiest part of making this film
What was the easy part?
was actually writing the voiceover to the music.
Mm.
Virtually everything that you hear when the music cues into the film,
Yeah.
virtually all of that is the very first draft of my monologue, the voiceover monologue that you hear.
Wait, that was just one draft?
That was virtually all of it was the first draft.
Yeah.
Of course, I went
Okay.
back in over the months and I made some tweaks and corrections and
Yeah.
stuff. But most of what you hear is the first draft. When I sat down and I wrote it, it just
Yeah.
made sense to me. It didn't happen quickly, but it took me hours to come up with most of that dialogue.
I think a lot of people don't know, was that you speaking through the monologue or was that you speaking for your character?
Shit, all lit. Microphone glass. Oh man.
Or before we touch on that, because it's deep, well, how important does vulnerability play into your creative process?
It had to be vulnerable, otherwise it wouldn't have been true. Otherwise, I would have been cosplaying. And I question myself all the time, when I was making this film, it's like, I had to keep affirming to myself that I wasn't cosplaying, that this was actually like my real life, that this was something that I was trying to photograph and capture the emotional truth. And I know it's very heavy. My voice is very, very heavy in the film. And there's this sense because in my real life, my voice is not that deep, not that dark, not that heavy. But that's just how I felt. At times it can be, especially when I wake up. And I just feel like just the weight of life just kind of boiling over me. And so in that regard, it is very true. And this film is very true because it is about my real life in the streets of K-Town for about 10 years, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I think knowing that, it kind of makes the story even better when you watch it again because, like I was saying, when I go through and I look at the movie, I'm just thinking these are like, even though they're your protagonist in his journal, this could be anyone's mind just racing right now.
Yeah.
They're having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're just talking about. This is a guy who's just been lonely. He's a guy, like you said, he's just waking up, going to work, eating, sleeping, waking up, going to work, eating, sleeping, just this, and it's just running through his head.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to make sense because this is his mind just racing right now,
Yes.
just jogging, and that's what I get from it, man. Like when I'm there and I'm watching the film, it's almost like I have to sit alone with my thoughts. That's what it feels like. And I feel like that's what makes it so powerful. And just knowing that you just said, you know what? I'm going to make it authentic. I'm not going to keep making draft after draft. I'm going to go after like the first thing on my mind. And that's exactly what it feels like when you're right there and he's going inside of his journal. I think that's just brilliant.
Thank
you. Just talking about the story. What I like about it is it seems like a man that's been kind of not really, like you said, for 10 years, he's just been doing this. He's been feeling this way, but he's never had a time to just sit down with himself and really process what he's going through and really unpack and ask himself, why am I feeling this way? What's making me do this and how can I change? And I feel like that in of itself, what he's doing is the solution. Going inside of the journal, being able to talk to himself, being able to be like, you know what? I'm feeling bad, but I'm feeling bad for a reason. Maybe this will help. I like that, man.
Yeah.
Now, is that something that you do in your personal life? Is journaling something that's something that you do, or is it mainly just your creative endeavors? Just as
I think in a sense I'm writing diaries all the time. Even when I'm writing scripts, I think that's even a form of a diary in a sense, because I'm always looking to portray some kind of truth about myself, my spirituality. If my spirit is in my screenplay, then I consider that a diary entry. So in a way, I'm always writing diary entries, but sometimes I just write diary entries in general, just because, the thoughts they get too heavy. So I just need to flesh that stuff out. I need to flush it out. And but even more so, I think I'm just, always being my own therapist in my own head. I think I spend more of my time just thinking in my own head, trying to kind of, console myself just with my own thoughts instead of writing it longhand.
A lot of people when they talk about God, they talk about the Most High up above, but then God people always also talk about the God within.
Mm.
Is how do you see God?
God is everything,
Yeah,
whether within you or whether it's external.
yeah,
God is just present.
yes.
You know, that's how I see it.
Okay. So you feel so you feel in all forms of your communication, whether it's uh talking with another person or something like that, in a way you're communicating with God. Is that what you mean by that, or what do you mean by you're communicating with God when you do your film or when you journal?
Well, there's a line in the film that says, "I found companionship in empty spaces and crowded rooms, there where God speaks the loudest." So I really feel that it is true that if you can, I feel like there's a quiet, there's a silence in both environments, whether you're in an empty room or you're in a crowded room. I feel like because when you're in the middle, I feel like you're more present. You're talking to someone and you're not so much in your own head. But if you're in the opposites, I feel like you tend to be a lot more intrusive with your own thoughts. And that's how I am, definitely. I start to blur out all of the chatter, and I really just try to find a sense of comfort. It's like a safety blanket when I communicate with God. When I'm in an empty space, which is most of the time, you know, it's just evident. Like I'm always talking to myself. I'm always talking to God. I'm always trying to grapple with something that I don't completely understand. I'm always grappling with different ideas and trying to figure out what I can do. But writing is the hardest thing to do, to settle on an idea
Yeah.
and to find some weight in that idea. It's really hard. So I don't really know. The foster boy is on my mind, but I don't know what will creep on me next.
Do you think it's easier for you to tell stories they when you have already experienced it,
Um,
or do you feel like or are you the person that you rather just because you have more like fanatical writers, they like to talk about you have people that make like action movies or like a sci-fi movie. Do you feel like it's just better when you make a film to where it relates to you? Do you feel like that's where your creative process works best?
I think so. I think it's starting to become more apparent. I think
Okay.
just because I've tried to write about things in other places in other states, and it just doesn't feel safe because
Okay.
and it's getting back into the thing like write what you know
And the reason
yeah.
the reason I asked is because again, I haven't read I don't know how many scripts you necessarily write. I don't know what your writing process looks like. I'm not sure if these were just like stories where you're like, okay, I've been writing all this stuff, but I feel like this is gonna work best.
Mm.
How does for that process for putting out work? Do you just have like scripts lined up, or do you just work on one process then put it out? Because like you were saying, Foster Boy has been in the work for years,
Yeah.
but Midnight Diaries is something you put out first. Goldie's something you put out first.
Yeah.
Are there more projects in the works that you're just holding off?
Yeah, I have a large bin of scripts that I've written over the years. Most of them incomplete. So many drafts, so much research.
Okay,
Yeah.
and a lot of them they just come from like an eternal place,
Oh yeah,
a
bro.
personal place.
Yeah, and most of them I've shelved. Virtually all of them I've shelved, but I have a large
Yeah.
collection of scripts, stories. Just yeah, I'm always writing.
If you don't mind me asking, what's the reason for that? What makes you feel like an idea is better than the next or not as good as the other?
Man, it's just me getting in my own way, bro. Yeah, just not feeling confident enough to tell a proper story. Most and I have a very objective view on this. Most of the stories that I write, and I'm being 100% honest, most of what I write is absolute crap, bro.
You know, it's hard. Now, we was just talking about that. We were talking about how, like, one thing that we loved about this project and the last one is you being vulnerable. But to see that you actually do kind of have, like, this little insecure side, it's
Yeah.
really tough to see that, man. What I want to know, man, is what gave you the courage to put these last projects out if that's how you feel about these other projects?
Yeah, man. I don't even think I know the answer to that, bro.
Because we need that. We need that courage, man. Because I'm sure there's some good projects in the work that you're just like, nah, but they're good.
Well, I can tell you that, it's funny that you brought that up because I was just thinking about the fact that everything that I've ever released were in situations where I just said, fuck it, I'm just going to go out and do it. Everything else I've premeditated on, and there's a reason why they've been shelved. I think just because with projects like Midnight Diaries, that really kind of, even though this was like 7 years in the process, it wasn't something that I was like very intentional about doing up until about 2 years ago. And when I finally made that decision, I just went after it and I didn't second guess myself. With Goldie was the same thing. I didn't have a plan. I was just out and I got a nice shot and I wanted to get more shots and get more shots. And then I kind of birthed out of that.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, we were talking about that earlier off camera about you being like this chaotic good. One thing I've noticed about you is that you work best, man, when you just like going out of whim, when you just doing
I think
stuff.
so, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm starting to realize that, bro.
So how do you get in that headspace, man? How do you tap into that? Because I think last year for 4th of July, man, you was going crazy, man.
Yeah. Bro,
Yeah.
well, when I made my first film, which I have to put it in quotation marks film, I did this thing called War of the Worlds, which it's embarrassing. You can find that shit on YouTube, but if you put my name in and you put War of the Worlds, I did this little remake. Can't even call it a remake because that shit's just all over the place. But that was a situation where I was 13 years old, going on 14, and I just had this crazy idea of just like going out. And literally the same morning that I thought about this idea, I literally just didn't hesitate, didn't second guess myself, didn't premeditate anything. I just went out and just gathered my neighborhood friends together from the block, and we just shot the thing. And I edited and I cut that thing together the same day, the same afternoon. And the film was up on YouTube that same night, I think. That was just something that and then there was this other short film that I did when I was in high school called Liberated at Dusk, unscripted. This was just something that morning I was like, I want to go to Magic Johnson Park and just shoot something. And my friend Stefan, he was just down to do it. And again, the same thing. I didn't question myself. I didn't second guess. My insecurities didn't get in the way of my intuition. I just went out and I did it. And everything that I've thought about doing in that way, I've published. And everything that I kind of, try to be a perfectionist, most of them have been shelved with the exception of Midnight Diaries, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so you feel like in a way perfectionist, again, speaking for yourself, do you feel like that is like the main crux for a lot of creatives out there? That's like the big issue.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest issue, being a perfectionist. And I have myself to blame for that too. I can be very meticulous with my creative process.
Because I'm going to be honest, like me as well, believe it or not, I used to make films too. And then I look back at my old films and I just cringe. And I'm like, man, I don't want to do this no more. But, then I see people like you. I see other of my friends and I see them put out projects. And I'm like, they tell me how they feel like some of their projects. They're like, man, they get a little embarrassed. They get a little cringe. But I'm looking at them like, man, I enjoy this. I'm very happy that you actually produced this and put this out and I'm able to witness this. And it kind of makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I'm kind of like denying the world,
your voice.
A voice, or just like, I remember it was a song by Kenny Rogers, and the song I'm trying to think of what song it was. It was like "Decorate My Life," "Decorate My Life" by Kenny Rogers, and I heard that song, and I just thought to myself, God, I'm so thankful you made this man born on this earth, and I just feel that way about like you and like other projects. Like it's nice having people like you born on this earth and putting the stuff you put out there. And I
Thank you.
feel like I kind of got to get in that headspace too. Like, it's it's something right now that is on the creative's mind to where they're overthinking their work, but they have something right now that's going to inspire somebody to produce something else or just change the way they think, change their life,
Yeah.
put a smile on their face,
You know, the thing I really love about you, bro, is that you're a legit film fan. You know, you always go out to the movies. You're always watching movies, bro. And you have a high knowledge of films as well, bro. And that's I think that's why we get along so well, because like we're just genuine fans of the art. And yeah, man, but that thing that you just said is true. We do tend to get in our own way. You know, we are our own biggest enemies. I definitely am. But I wrestle with that because I I kind of need that kind of that kind of perfectionism, whatever that I kind of need that
What
because
are you seeking out of that perfectionism? Is it just like you want to have like this clean record? Everything I put out was good, or what is it about that? Why do you have that monkey on your back?
I just for me, my
Yeah.
own personal satisfaction,
Yeah.
if it's not up to my standard, then I really don't love it. With Midnight Diaries, I have to say though, is the first project of mine where I went all the way and I didn't cut myself short. Um, well, eh, maybe 98% of the way, 99% of the way. Some very there are some imperfections in the film, which if I knew I wasn't lazy enough at the time, could have been corrected. There are
Man,
some amateur.
we not about to speak down on the film, man. Come on, man.
No,
This is
honestly,
it.
no,
But
no.
I understand
There are
exactly
some
what you're
things in
coming
there
from,
that
man.
when I
Yeah,
look at it,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I know
yeah.
that like I could have definitely like pulled my weight and made those
But
things.
you know
But
what
the
I
fact
love?
that you can't see me is
Yeah.
good.
But you know what I love about that, man, is I like that attitude. I like the fact that I put that out. Yeah, it wasn't up to par, but I still did it though. It still went out there. People
Yeah.
still viewed it, and I feel like that's the attitude we need to go in there. Like once I leave this interview, I need to check myself, and I need to get back to making my scripts and doing my films, and be
Do
like, hey
it,
man,
brother.
I'm just gonna put something out.
Writing is a
Yeah.
hard thing, bro. You know, it's very, of course, it's easier said than done. When you sit down, when you actually sit down and you try to physically get those words out and you write those words onto a blank canvas and you're trying to still be in love with those words, 3 hours into the session, and, you're trying to fight your own negative thinking mind of this is not a good idea. Oh, this can use some reworking, pushing through that, bro. That's the most essential thing. And I have forced myself to go beyond those barricades and really get those words on the paper. And it's a very intimate and lonely process, but it is absolutely necessary. Definitely. Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit, man. Who inspired you to make your first film?
Steven Spielberg,
Steven Spielberg. What movie?
War of the Worlds.
World of Worlds. Okay.
War of the Worlds. Yeah. But because I was on my computer a lot and I'm still on the computer, but when I was a youngin', I was always up late at night on YouTube just looking at all types of stuff, and I stumbled across this parody of War of the Worlds. Some random kids in like Midwest America, whatever. I don't know what state they were in, but they made their own little parody remake of Steven Spielberg's sci-fi film. And when I saw the fact that regular kids who looked like me did that, I swear to God, that next morning I went up and I made my own little War of the Worlds remake. So Steven Spielberg is central.
Yeah, but again, those kids, like we was just talking about us not making perfection. Those kids never did that.
True.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And also,
Yeah.
while we're on the topic, shout out to Rhonda. She's a very close friend of my foster
Okay.
mother. Rhonda, she's been there since I was a child. She was actually the very first witness to my art. When I made War of the Worlds, she was the very first person that I showed it to. And she gave me such great feedback that just literally gave me all of the life that I needed to go out and just pursue this thing, So Shout out to Rhonda. Whatever camera is working right now. She's a real one.
She's watching this, man.
Yeah. She's central to me becoming a filmmaker for sure.
How have you evolved as a filmmaker since you made that War of Worlds to Goldie to Neal with Midnight Diaries?
Well, I actually learned how to properly make videos by making skateboarding videos. That's how I learned how to edit. That's how I learned about shot composition, rhythmic editing, editing to music, all of that stuff I learned through making skateboarding videos. So by the time I got to Goldie, like I already had all that stuff down. Like this is like a decade of, just making stuff. And when I made Goldie, that was like me shooting my first shot at trying to make something that I felt was art. But with Midnight Diaries, definitely, like I said, you know what? Like I've been making videos for so many years now. I want to make something that I'm genuinely proud of. And so, yeah, Midnight Diaries was a result of that.
Okay. Did you always start with like filmmaking dreams, or was it like I want to be a skateboarder first?
It was
that
nothing.
like
It was always filmmaking.
it was always
Skateboarding just kind of came along the journey,
Yeah.
and it helped evolve my filmmaking process because I was always the filmmaker behind the camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, filmmaking. I never wanted to be anything else in life other than a filmmaker.
And did you have like somebody who you looked up to and they're the one always with the camera and you was like, you know what, I want to pick this up, or you just was like, man, that looks great. I want to capture this.
Just that. Yeah, man, that looks great. I want to capture this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one in my family was a filmmaker. My brother Reggie, he rapped and he made music videos and stuff, but he was never a filmmaker. And yeah, but I don't know. It just kind of found me, bro. The camera was just sitting in the house. This old dusty old digital camera was probably like, I don't know, like 50 frames a second or whatever the hell. It was very choppy, but I had it. And so I used it, and I just started. I got a thrill out of seeing the stuff that I had just recorded, like looking at the playback. And something about that bug just kind of bit me, and I ran with it.
How do you think you've always stayed on like your purpose, when it comes to like being a filmmaker? Because a lot of people, they see other people doing something, being successful at it, or they see other people enjoying something, and then they think to themselves, maybe this is how I'm going to get my joy. Maybe this is what my purpose is. How did you just
Or like
what?
being like dissuaded in other
Being
paths.
dissuaded to other paths. What kept you passion? What kept you on the path of filmmaking?
It was just a thing that has always felt right for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was just always been at the core of my identity. It was the only thing that gave me any excitement.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why I stuck with it.
Okay, man.
It was like my North Star. It just felt good. I felt that feeling, like
Yeah.
that joyful feeling
Yeah.
that nothing else can give you other than your purpose.
Yeah, that firing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I knew.
I'm glad you stuck with it too, man. Well, I feel like this interview is gonna like hopefully inspire a lot of people, give them a lot of insight to you and just how your brain works. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to interview you, Keno.
Oh, thank you, Layquawn. I appreciate you, brother. This was amazing, bro. Yeah.
Okay.